Welcome everyone to History Gone Wilder, part of Have History Will Travel. I'm your host, the Wilder historian, Dr. Lucas Wilder, and last time Confederate forces engaged with Benjamin Butler's Army of the James north of the James River along the Darbytown and New Market roads. Now, Butler lashes out against the Confederate position along those same roads. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, join the Patreon page, and purchase something from one of my online stores. Every little bit helps. Thank you. Following the battle along the Darbytown and New Market roads on October 7th, a pause in hostilities came about in that sector north of the James River. But although there wasn't much fighting, there were incredible amounts of activity as each side attempted to improve upon their earthworks. One Union soldier commented, "The line we hold now is called the third line of defense around Richmond. She will soon fall. She can't hold out much longer." Along with building fortifications, a change in command took place within the Army of the James. David Birney, commander of the 10th Corps, would lead the army on sick leave, suffering from an illness. Birney was originally born in Huntsville, Alabama, to an abolitionist politician. Birney and his family would move multiple times, but settle in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He studied law and practiced it in Philadelphia. When the war broke out, he quickly rose through the ranks, mostly due to politics rather than military merit. He fought in most of the campaigns in the Eastern Theater. Birney commanded a division in the 3rd Corps at Gettysburg, being minorly wounded, and following the reorganization of the Army of the Potomac, the 3rd Corps was dismantled, and its units and commanders dispersed throughout the remaining corps. Birney became a division commander in Winfield Scott Hancock's 2nd Corps, and performed good service in that role. During the Siege of Petersburg, Birney took command of the 10th Corps, leading it until his departure from the Army on sick leave, following the most recent battle along the Darbytown and New Market roads. It was a sick leave he would never return from. He would pass away a few days later on October 18th in Philadelphia. He was 39 years old. Alfred Terry, one of his division commanders, would take command of the corps in his absence. Being so close to the capital brought civilians to look over battlefields and field hospitals. It became such a common occurrence that one soldier wrote, "Even ladies with their babies and young children walk about and look at dead bodies with the most disgusting interest. I had always felt that the callousness of the men was the saddest feature of the war, but when women love to look on death and bloodshed, it is disgusting and repulsive." Edward Porter Alexander, commanding the Confederate artillery north of the James River, put forward a plan for a line of entrenchments further east along the New Market, Darbytown, and Charles City roads. The chief engineer agreed with Porter's plan, and Porter took it to Lee for confirmation. Lee liked it as well. Preparations began to construct this new line of works using slaves, troops, and impressed civilians. Porter would call the new entrenchments the most beautiful line of entrenchments which I saw during the whole war. Plans to attack those fortifications were thwarted by a flag of truce on October 12th, so Butler decided to launch an assault the next day, following the same attack plan. The troops were up and moving by 4 a.m., getting to their locations by 6 a.m. It was closer to 7 when the blue lines began to push the Confederate skirmishers at a slow pace. Terry encountered substantial resistance and told Butler at 10:30 a.m. that, "At present I think we cannot pierce their works except by massing on some point and attacking in column." Butler forwarded Terry's report to Grant, who replied, "The reconnaissance now serves to locate the Confederates for any future operations. To attack now, we would lose more than the enemy, and only gain ground which we are not prepared to hold, nor are we prepared to follow up any advantage we might gain." With that, Butler sent a message to Terry to retire leisurely, as the main line had been located, and lightly tested with skirmishers. Minor musketry and artillery fire rattled during that morning, but a significant casualty happened in Charles Field's division. His nephew, Willis F Jones, on a mission to give a message to Joseph Walker of Bratton's brigade, was hit in the head by a sharpshooter's bullet. Field claimed that Jones's death was the saddest event of the war. He was put into a metallic coffin in Richmond and buried in Hollywood Cemetery. Field's quartermaster remarked, "It is particularly sad when Marylanders and Kentuckians are shot down here after fighting their own neighbors and friends, and then to be killed with no hope of ever having a lasting resting place among their own people." Robert E. Lee and Richard Anderson realized the precariousness of the Confederate left flank and moved Bull's brigade to shore up that end of the line. Grant and Butler's orders to halt the advance hadn't reached Terry, who sent Pond's brigade northward in preparation for an attack to get through the fortifications. It took a couple hours for Pond to prepare his men, but his division commander, Adelbert Ames, was insistent on an attack, with his other brigades giving support and keeping the Confederates in their front busy. At 2 p.m., Pond's brigade attacked. One of the Yankees from Pond's command remembered, "As we made the assault through the brush, the air seeming filled with whizzing bullets, the scream of solid shot and shell, the rattle and sweep of grape and canister through our ranks. Comrades fell on our right and our left." The whole affair lasted about 10 minutes, with Pond taking heavy casualties and retiring from the field. Within that incredibly short amount of time, the brigade lost 14 killed and 191 wounded. The Confederates suffered between 30 and 80 casualties. Finally, word trickled down to Terry, Ames, and Pond that no attacks were to be made, and the whole force moved back to Deep Bottom. The Second Battle of Darbytown Road had come to an end. The whole 10th Corps lost 396 men in that engagement. The Confederacy crowed in their newspapers about a great victory won on the Darbytown Road, exaggerating the death toll of the Union. It was a victory, but not as large as the Confederacy bragged about. After this battle, Richard Anderson would no longer command the 1st Corps of the Army of Northern Virginia. Lee's old warhorse, James Longstreet, returned from his recuperation after suffering a severe wound at the Battle of the Wilderness in May. When the men saw him coming, they mounted the breastworks, and while he rode down the lines, made the welkin ring with cheers for the old bull of the woods, as they loved to designate him. Anderson would command a new corps, the 4th Corps, which was in reality just one division of men.